Pasha Pyro, YNET7. Thank you for tuning the replay. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, right, is what I like to call or title as equations versus variables. And again, I appreciate all y'all out there that keep me motivated, asking when the next video is going to come out. Started some new things in my life, and without, and I just taking some time to learn all this new stuff, and so I can be the best that I can be and be most efficient. So I appreciate your patience during this phase of my life, and the motivation and support. Keep sharing the videos. Respect. So I was actually in the process of studying something, and I came across a passage that really made me think about some opportunities that not only I myself have, but probably everybody that has any type of relationship, whether that's a business relationship, community affairs, or community relationships, anything. So I like to learn from everyday life, and I'm gonna go over this with you, and then I'm gonna tie it into something that's totally unrelated, but to show you a bigger picture, and I hope it connects with you. Let me just say it like that. So in this actual passage here, it was talking about how the companies, and it's not singling out any company or anything like that or any management group. I'm just using this as an example, and it really serves as a great metaphor to think about, or when you think about even a bigger scope or scale of the world and humanity itself. So what it was saying was that the companies like to reward the people that chase down a horse that broke loose from the gate and prevented. I'll read a little bit from it from the passage for you. So it said, management honors the person who gets the horse back in the barn, rescuing two horses that escape on a weekend night before either horse gets near the road gains particular praise. Kind of at first glance, that makes sense, right? So check this part out. It says management ignores the person who works on the gate so that the horse, or excuse me, the management ignores the person who works on the gate so that it never lets the horse loose. Now think about that in life. Like, step out of the workplace and go into everyday life, or community situations and family and whatever, right? And just think about that. People glorify the victors of the panic, so to speak, right? The champions of chaos. But they overlook the people that worked hard and never experienced it, because to them they never experienced it. So they're missing the fact that it's not that they never yes, they never experienced it, but it's because of the effort they put in ahead of time, which is like the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So let's see what it say here. So management ignores the person who works on the gate so that it never lets a horse loose. There is no event to recognize. So basically, because of your forethought, there was no event to recognize. So now it goes on to talk about how the maintenance crews, or they do all this stuff. They jump over all these hurdles and stuff. Generally speaking, again, this is no one group in particular, but they may use skeleton crews, use call out lists, cell phones, walkie talkies, radios, whatever, to be more efficient. All this stuff. They may work all night to fix a problem, have parts overnight it to make sure it's working the next day, all kinds of stuff, right? And what it was talking about is how maintenance, management would actually take and honor those crews and say, "Hey, look, they in the text it talked about how to get a plaque or something made for them, a little trophy, put a picture of the pump that broke down, and etch their names of the crew all into the plaque and put it up on the wall in the break room. They celebrate that, but remember, the people that fixed the gate so that it never broke the horses loose, they tell them, as it say, well, that's what they pay the personnel at the station for. So they don't celebrate that. You know what I mean? And that made me think about the equation versus the variables topic that is it's a discipline that I kind of live by. Everybody know me know that everything to me is an equation. So what's happening is when you focus on, let's say, let's look at this little, let's look at this little graph here. An equation creates a graph. It's not nothing fancy, just a squiggled line. It represents some equation out there, really graphs this line. So let's not, I don't need nobody in the comments talking about, well, what equation is, don't worry about it. It's just an example. So in this example, right, we got variable 1 and variable 2. And what they're going to do is they're going to intersect at a certain point. So when you only focus on variable 1, in this equation, you're only going to hit the line the one time, which gives you this other variable, and vice versa. So by being focused on either one of those two variables, you get a point on this equation. The problem is when you have an emotional attachment to just these two, and you put the blinders on and you're only focused on variable 1 and or variable 2 and this result, you're missing the fact that that one point is really part of an infinite number of points on the same line. You see? So by being focused on that one point, you ever have a conversation with somebody and you're like, well, this is the same thing I was telling you about last time. And they're like, no, last time was A, B, C, and D, and then F, and then, but this time it's totally J, K, L, M, N, O, P. And you're like, well, that's the same thing, though. It's just different variables. This is because they actually have an emotional attachment to this variable and that variable, and they can only see this point. So until they get exposed to all these other points here, they don't realize that they're part of the same line or part of the same graph or part of the same equation. Okay. So it's like going to the mall, and you go into this mall for the last 5 years, but you only go to these certain stores. So one day you come across the fact that, well, hey, this certain store is also in the mall that you never knew was in the mall, been there the whole time. It's because you were never focused on looking for that store or realizing that it was part of the same equation or the same mall as all the other little stores, right? So some of you have heard, we know infinity high and infinity low. Some of you also are familiar with that between the numbers 1 and 2, for example, infinity also exists. So when we focus only on them 1 points, those two variables, we only get the opportunity to actually see this one intersect, not realizing that there's an infinite amount of possibilities right next to it that could also generate the same equation, that could also be a part of the same equation, right? So, if you go a little further and you get to the point where you got multiple variables going on, maybe you've had a conversation a couple times, you're like, yeah, that happened last time, and then this time was J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Now they realize, oh, well, there's 2 points. But then what happens when they come back a month later and they got the third conversation, and it's like, yeah, well, I didn't know, but this is all the same. See, they're missing the fact that it's part of the same equation because they're stuck on the variables. The gift and the curse. Everything is a gift and a curse. So this is an opportunity for you to showcase this to them, and in sharing this, you give them an opportunity to grow, And in you knowing this, you actually grow in those same circumstances because you can handle the situation different because you realize either it's purposely avoiding or they just don't know. You know what I'm saying? But this is what happens when you, I think, if we switch our focus as people, as companies, as communities, from being focused on the variable to being vigilant of the entire equation, it really gives us the opportunity to prevent some things in advance, because we're actually recognizing and acknowledging all facets of the equation, not just the ones where something had to lead to a panic, but also the ones where the panic was prevented because of one's actions. Could change a lot of people's lives, could make a lot of communities better. You let me know what you think in the comments. It's Pasha Pyro, it's YNET7. Thank you for tuning. The replay.